I write this not for your sympathy, because I don't need it, but because perhaps you are that person living, broken, in need of healing, or just a friend. And I aim to inform you that there is healing, and if you need it, I will be that friend. My dearest Michaela Sue. I still remember the day I learned I was pregnant. I still remember the day that I learned you were a girl. I was excited to finally buy dresses, bows, and baby dolls. Daddy even had your father-daughter wedding song picked out, and you hadn't yet been born. I loved her first, by Heartland, will forever be your song, though you will never marry, never dance to it, never even hear it this side of heaven. I remember how you hated thunderstorms. Even in the protection of my womb, you would squirm and kick the whole time. You were a very active baby in there from early on, kicking often. I often wondered if you were doing some somersaults in there. But the minute Daddy would place his hands on my belly, it was as if immediately, just by the simple touch of your loving father, you would be calmed. Your brothers were excited, anticipating the arrival of their baby sister. Christian said he'd be the best big brother ever. Alexander was so young, but excited to play with baby. Little did we know that our plans for you would never come to fruition, that mere days before you were to make your well-anticipated debut, our world would forever be changed. We would fall, broken. The world would stand still for a small circle of friends, family, and even strangers. It has been 14 years, and much has changed in our lives since. But on this day, I sit here in remembrance of what was lost, what will never be, a handful of pictures to remember you by, grateful to have them, though at the time wasn't sure I'd ever lay eyes on them. I can still remember in vivid detail the events as they unfolded that day. I remember the routine doctor's checkup and planning to induce labor by the end of that week if you hadn't made your debut. I remember the doctor looking for a heartbeat that he'd never find. I remember being whisked away to a room with a sonogram machine. I remember the doctor looked at me with sympathy, saying, "I'm so sorry, but there's no heartbeat. She's gone." I remember making the short walk from the doctor's building to the hospital, which was just across the parking lot, clinging to Alexander as if at that moment he were my only lifeline, that if I let go, I'd fall completely apart. I remember trying to make those first few phone calls while trying to hold it together. I remember just wanting it to all go away, wanting to wake up from this nightmare. I remember when you came out, so beautifully perfect in every way, head full of beautiful black hair, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all 19 inches, 7 pounds, 10 ounces of you, so wonderfully, perfectly beautiful, yet so devastatingly lifeless and silent. What should have been a beautiful, happy day now was a very dark, sad, and painful day. The outpouring of love and support that come through in those first few days and even weeks was almost overwhelming. From a young nurse who took the time to go above and beyond her duties to kneel down and answer the questions of a small, broken, confused little 5-year-old boy who simply wanted to know why everyone was so sad and why Sissy wouldn't be coming home. I couldn't even tell you her name, simply that she did what the rest of us could not do at that moment. Having lost a baby sibling herself, she explained that baby was going home to be with Jesus. To my father, who refused to leave his daughter's side, sleeping in a hospital chair all night, not uttering a word, just to make sure she knew he was there. To the sheer generosity and outpouring of love from family, friends, and strangers who immediately jumped in and started helping to prepare for a funeral that had to happen. So much love could be felt pouring in from so many, some we didn't even know. The funeral was a cold day with a light, gentle rain. At times I wasn't sure if I was shivering from the cold or shaking from the tears and overwhelming, heartbreaking pain that I was experiencing. The flood of emotion that would follow in the coming days would be overwhelming. And despite the sheer love that people poured out, I would go on to go through years of hidden, torturous depression. I had convinced myself that this was somehow my fault, that everyone was hurting, myself included, because my body had failed you. To add to my grief and fuel my depression, 3 weeks to the day my last living grandmother would pass, in which I would, in my mind, convince myself that it was my fault as well, that she couldn't handle the loss of a great-grandchild. This would go on to plague my soul for years. I couldn't understand what I had done to make God hate me so. But in my small understanding, in that time of my life, I was convinced that He did, that I was being punished for something. I was angry at Him, angry at myself, angry at the world. I was angry at the people who made stupid comments over the coming weeks, like it was meant to be this way. God has a plan. You are young, you can try again. Stay strong, you've got this. It's time to move on. I tell you all now that some things in life do not require stupid comments that you may think are comforting. Sometimes all one needs is one simple silent presence. In this hour of need and this profound loss, no words will ever help other than, I'm here. I would go on for years in a fog, running out of stores to avoid a meltdown just by seeing another's baby. Holidays were excruciatingly hard. A smile plastered on my face, anger and hurt still in my mind, years of hidden tears and sarcastic comments to hide the pain. At some point, I would merely shove it all down inside and pretend that it was over with. At times, I think I even believed that I was. Somewhere through the years, I convinced myself that I was fine, that I had moved on, but unbeknownst to me, I hadn't. I had simply tucked it away so deeply, ignoring the emotions that I didn't even know some of it still existed. I had pretended for so long that somewhere along the way, I started believing the lie that I had convinced myself that I had processed it all and fully healed. Little did I know that things were moving into place in my life that were going to put me in a season that would shine the light on these deeply hidden emotions. It would hit me like a ton of bricks, though I'd still plaster that fake smile on and try to deal with it on my own. I'd eventually learn that the traumas don't go away if we simply lock it up instead of processing it. No, it just sits there, idle, waiting for that moment to rear its ugly head and knock you on your feet. You find yourself exposed, raw, broken, with two crucial choices. Either you shove it back down, put on your happy face, and wait for the next time it pops up, or you truly process it and heal from it. The memory will remain, and there will always be pain from the loss. But when a decision is made to find a way to rid yourself of the guilt, anger, and shame over all the past emotions and actions that came out of that trauma, the pain no longer has to rule your life. You find resilience that you didn't know you had. You find help in the most unexpected of places, the kindness of strangers, love of family and friends, the experiences of others. For me, in this particular trauma, this healing started in the kindness of broken people who would show up on a Wednesday night, not even sure of what it is they are looking for, just something, only to find so much more than expected, even as the veil is being lifted and realization is emerging. There was still that overpowering desire to hide it, not wanting to be exposed as the broken mess we know we are, as if human as if being as if somehow that will make us appear to be human, too weak in the eyes of others. But once that realization is opened up, it never really goes away. It's there prompting you, telling you that it's time. 13 years is long enough. So you show up again, and though you still keep to yourself, mostly hidden, you listen intently. You tell yourself, maybe I can fully heal. Maybe someone can help. But you're not ready to admit that to anyone just yet. So you sit silently listening, just saying enough to participate. You know the faces around you. You have seen them many times on a Sunday morning in the foyer. You've stood near some of them as you sing songs of praise to your Lord and Savior. Some you have even spoken to, albeit guarded carefully, chosen words, so as not to reveal too much. But there's something inside you telling you that healing can be yours through the kindness of essentially strangers to whom you have seen many times. You start to slowly, silently think on all of the love that had been shown to you in that dark season of your life. You start to realize that you were never really alone. You realize that you always had a gentle hand waiting to pull you up, a Savior who wanted to help you heal. He was just waiting for you to simply ask. Then he would start the healing process. Through acquaintances that would not know at the time that they were starting a healing process in you, through the conversations of a friend who would listen, the healing was within reach. I will always love my baby girl. I will always wish she were here. I will always wonder why. But I can find peace in the unknown, knowing that one day I will see her and hold her again. I can take comfort in knowing that she is in the arms of the Creator and the arms of other loved ones who have gone before me. I can now take comfort in knowing that I can trust in the ways of the Lord. I can live knowing that the blessings that are here on earth are great, and I can love them with all my heart. I can make the most of my time here and follow the path laid out for me. For the first time in my life, there's an unspeakable peace that even in the storm swirling around me, I know that I will be okay. I know that I have a friend who never leaves my side. I have a friend who shields me and walks beside as I face the trials this side of heaven. My life has been riddled with storms, but if I look back on all of them, I can list blessings and comforts that have come out of them. Some have made me stronger, some have made me wiser, some have made me more compassionate towards others, some have made me more patient. In essence, they have all shaped me to be who I am today. I may not understand it all the time. I may never know the answers to some of my questions, but I can now rest in knowing that I can trust in the Lord and that He knows what is best for my life always.